instead of, 3 levels of vice presidents and, 3 levels of directors, you're going to have just 1 or 2 levels. And those will be based probably on skill at bringing together results and be based on how well they build teams as opposed to how many years they've worked in the company and so forth. So General Y kind of gets this instinctively, Mike. They know this. And while they may not articulate it very well, I think if you watch them work, they work in teams, they collaborate, they're far more willing to compromise and give and take and have a good discussion than people our ages ever were willing to do. It's a very different mindset.
Yeah, different world. Now, just in the final few minutes, let's have a bit of fun. You said you love gadgets. What's your latest gadget at the moment?
Let's see. Well, my very latest gadget is probably the iPad, which I absolutely am in love with. And I guess the gadget on top of that is some of the apps that come with it. I'm really fascinated with these augmented location tools and augmented reality tools, which allow you to take your smartphone, your Android or your iPhone, and using the camera, hold it up in front of a building, and it tells you about the building. And I think some of this augmented ID stuff is going to become fascinating for recruiting. So I can be standing in a room of people. I can take my camera, focus it on you, Mike, and it would pop your LinkedIn profile, and it would have face recognition. Yeah, it would amazing. It would recognize your face, and then it would find your profile. Now, it would only do that if you had given it permission for it to do that. In other words, if you had said on your LinkedIn profile, it's okay for it to be discovered, then I could do that. If you hadn't, then I couldn't. It would say I didn't know who you were. But this is going to become, this is already very big here in the techie community. They're using it more for identifying architectural sites. You're walking in a city you've never been to before, and you hold it up in front of a building, and it will tell you what the building is and give you a little history of it, and so forth. So I think those are some of the software stuff is almost as fascinating as the hardware gadgets are, but there's just so many things out there.
Yeah, and just one final question, just to close with, for the people who are listening, you're a man who's a forefront of the thinking industry around recruitment and leadership. What's your favorite website that you check into, other than your own, obviously, your own organization, the Future of Talent Institute and the Global Learning Resources? But what's a website that you would say is really useful?
Well, I find the sites that, there are some recruiting-oriented sites like ERE.net here in the U.S. that I obviously write for and think are very good sources of information for recruiters. But I also think that some of the sites that have nothing to do with recruiting, like Wired Magazine, Wired.com, I think MIT's Sloan Management review site, these are just wonderful sites because I think to be a really good recruiter, you've got to be aware of technology, you've got to be aware of management trends. I think you need to poke into, I read a lot of eclectic things like online newspapers and sources like Slate magazine and the Huffington Post, and these are only online publications. Some of them are somewhat U.S.-centric, I grant you that, but they have enough content, I think, to interest almost anybody in the world once you skip over the American politics. But there's a lot of other science and economic information that's just really useful and fascinating if you're really serious about thinking about what's happening in this space and where it ought to go.
Right. Hey, thank you so much. Look, on behalf of Frog Recruitment, I honestly thank you so much for your wisdom, your insights, and your challenging view of recruitment. And are you due in New Zealand at any time soon?
Well, I'm going to be in Australia in the very end of November and the first week of December, and I am tentatively trying to plan at least a day or two in Auckland. So we will see. So if all goes well, I may be there in the first week of December.
Well, we hope to meet you soon. And on behalf of Frog Recruitment, Kevin Wheeler, thank you so much for your input today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much, and I hope it was of some interest to all of you out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and for the rest of the listeners, have a wonderful day. This has been Frog Live Radio. Thank you.